Okay, folks, it's time for Perl. Perl is a little bit more complicated. If you look at the list here, we've got Perl and Bash, and then Fortran, C++. These codes are starting to get a lot more complicated. I mean, spreadsheet. Here, let me pull up this thing so we can talk about it together. Like, the spreadsheet code is super simple. MATLAB, Mathematica, Python, like, these are all designed for very user-friendly. Even R is pretty user-friendly. Perl has a lot of really neat things, but you start getting into the weeds here with like more complex languages here. So anyway, let's go ahead and start making our Perl function. So again, I'm gonna do the fancy tell Linux to use the Perl environment, and then I'm gonna print Newton-Raphson using Perl and /n to give me a new line, and then it's just like C++, so I have to hit the semicolon there, and then if I chmod this nr.perl /nr Perl. Oop. There you go, Newton-Raphson using Perl. Okay, so what do I want to do, right? So let's open, what is this code most like? I honestly don't think it's much like very many things. It's actually a combination of Bash, and Bash is kind of coming after this. So I'm just going to pull up MATLAB because that's the one that I'm most familiar. Well, I guess I'll do Python because we need to get input arguments. And I'm actually going to do Ruby because Ruby has input arguments are zeros. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I'm going to print argv, just like we've been doing. And so if I do Perl, I've got nothing. If I do 10, let's see, it didn't actually print 10. I'm going to print argv of 0 there. And then I need to do /n to give me a new line. Otherwise, it won't actually show it. So there's 10. It looks like I can't actually print the whole vector. I actually have to do like argv 0. If I do argv1, I think it's just, you see, yeah, Perl is crazy. I mean, you just do 1 and it just won't even give you anything. So how do we actually throw an error here? Well, let's see. What I want to do is in Perl, what you have to do is you have to use. I wonder if we turn use strict and use warnings on, and I do and I put that line of code back. What it will say. Okay, yeah. See, that's why. See, the reason why I didn't throw an error before is because I didn't have stricter warnings turned on. So if I do 0, everything's fine. It gives me 10. But if I do 1, then it actually turns an error here. So now that I have errors turned on, what I can do is I can say, okay, I want to take x0, and so Perl uses the $sign to tell me that it's a scalar, and my just means that you're declaring the variable. And so I want to say take argv of 0, and everything's fine like that. If I do, like that, and I try to print x0 /n, it's gonna freak out because it doesn't exist. If I run it again with 10, oh no, semicolons. Urgh. So let's see if it actually throws an error. Yeah, okay, there you go, uninitialized line, and then it threw the error there. So what I want to do is I could do an if statement and say, hey, if the length is less than this, but Perl has this really cool thing where you can just say or die, and so it basically means like, hey, try this, and if not, just kill the function and say sorry, not enough input arguments. And so although like the code is complex to run, it is really neat that it can do stuff like that. So there it goes. It says sorry, not enough input arguments at line 7. But then if I run it with 10 in there, it'll just print 10, which is great. So then I don't need this if statement. I can just do or die, which is kind of humorous for me, in my opinion. Anyway, so how do we make an array? Well, you do my to make a function, and then you use the ampersand. The ampersand is an array. So my x_iter's equals x0. And so now I have an array. I need to initialize my error. So I want to say error equals my $error is function of x0. But the problem is that function doesn't exist, so I need to actually make it. Now, the really neat thing about Perl is you can make functions anywhere. So I'm going to make a subroutine, my, num, and how do you get input arguments, right? So really what I want to do is I want to do return the input -1 times the input -1. Now, why am I not doing squared? Well, because I couldn't really figure out how to do squared in Perl. If I did a little bit more Googling, I could probably figure it out. So how do I grab the input argument? Well, you type in my input equals shift, and that will actually give you the input argument. It's really weird, but that's just the way it is. Let's test this and make sure it works. I need semicolons everywhere. Here we go. Wow, that was terrible. You got a semicolon here. There we go. 81. Sweet. It works. So we are on our way to getting this code to work. So I've got, let's see, I've got x0. I've got x iters. I don't need an x-axis because I'm going to be using GNU plot. And then I've initialized my error, so now I can do until. Now, can I do until loops in Ruby? In Perl, and it turns out I can, which is cool. So I can type in until my error is less than 1e minus 5, just like that. Okay, so again, I want to print and here's where things start to get weird. How do I get, in Ruby I can just do -1, in Python I can do -1, in R I use the tail function, in Mathematica I use last, in MATLAB I use end. Well, in Ruby, you do -1. In Perl, you have to do print x iters $pound x iters /n. And let's comment this out and test that. There you go. There's 10. So that works. It's a little weird, but it is what it is. Okay, and then I just turn the crank here. So I've got my x current equals x $x iters $pound x iters. And then I'm gonna let's just run. I don't want to run this because it's gonna freak out. All right, I'm just going to go for it and see what happens. Okay, so I've got my x current, and I've got my x next equals x current minus the function evaluated at x current divided by f prime. Oh, crap, we never made f prime. Sub f prime my input equals shift return 2 times input -1 semicolon f prime evaluated at x current, and then I want to push x next onto the array x iters. And then finally, I want to recompute the error using x next. Oof. Okay. First, let's see if that works, and if it does, then I'll tell you. Okay, it works. All right, so let me explain what just happened. Okay. So here, I am printing the last element of the vector. Okay, here I am saving the last element of the vector into x current. Here I am computing x next using the Newton-Raphson technique. And then finally, I am using the push function to push x next onto x iters. And then finally, I am re-evaluating the function. Okay? Neat. Okay. How do I plot? Okay. This is where things start to get weird. Okay. First, I can't intrinsically plot inside Perl. But what I can do is I can make a text file of data, and then I can use GNU plot to plot the data. Okay? So how do I do that? First, what I want to do is I want to delete the old file. So I'm going to say unlink iter data perl.txt. So what that's going to do is that's going to delete that old file. Then I want to open the file again. So I'm going to say my out file equals iter data perl.txt. And then I'm going to open using a file handle. I'm going to tell Perl that I want to write to it using the greater than symbol. And then I'm going to tell it the name of the file. If I can't do it, program's going to quit and say can't open output file. So let's see if that runs. Okay, it ran. So it was able to open the file. If I go into Emacs, there's iter data with nothing in it. Go back to Perl. So now, how do I print? I want to print to the file itself. Well, you just type in print out, and then this. So instead of printing to the terminal window, I'm going to print to the out file. And out is that file ID. And so if I run that, now iter data has all of my iter data in it. So now how do I actually run this? How do I actually get GNU plot to plot something? Well, what you do is you say GNU plot -e plot iter data perl.txt with lines LW3, so that's a line weight of 3, and I'm going to do semicolon pause -1. I just memorized that command. And there you go. There's my GNU plot. Now you need GNU plot installed, so if you don't have GNU plot on Windows or something, then you won't be able to do this. So how do you get Python to do this so you don't have to type this into a terminal? So it's a little bit complicated, so I just downloaded it from the internet, so I'm just going to copy and paste it here, and I'm going to attempt to explain what happens. So I'm going to do copy, paste. Okay, so run GNU plot script. So basically it says open myp. So myp is the file handle, and I'm assuming that I'm piping something to GNU plot, and then I am doing a print flush to this output, which I think is getting piped to GNU plot, and I am saying plot that output file with lines weight of 3, and remember the output file is iter data perl.txt, and then here I wait for input so that it pauses, and then I close that file, that flush right there. So if I just run this, there it is right there. If I run 20, there it is right there. If I run -5 or -45, wow, there you go right there. So there you have it. Again, I just Googled this and typed it in. It's a little complex, but there is Newton-Raphson in Perl. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Bash is up next, which is really not designed for Newton-Raphson, but I figured that would be really fun and hilarious. So here we go.